Hey everybody, in this game I played incredibly aggressively, just never letting up, and it paid off. I'm the white pieces, e4, d4, we bring out our knights, I go right into the Scotch Gambit, which he accepts. I double down on the Gambit, giving him another free pawn in exchange for having better piece development. He opens up his white bishop diagonal, and I respond by developing my bishop. Now I have the ability to castle, but more importantly, I'm putting a lot of pressure on his f7 pawn. He sees that, he pushes his pawn, so now I can't bring my knight into the attack, which buys him some time. I castle, which is defensive, but also sets up having my rook on the e-file to pressure his king. He develops his knight, and I respond like this. My thought being that if he takes back, I take back is also a sacrifice of my knight, but then if I trade queens, his king will be unable to castle and very exposed. I think he's actually probably going to respond by pushing this pawn. We might have another big exchange, but instead he surprises me and he just retreats his knight. So I capture this pawn. I'm hoping he recaptures with this pawn and then it'll be super isolated. But instead, he captures with his bishop, which is the right move because now he has the ability to castle and he maintains his pawn structure a little bit and develops a piece. So I go ahead and throw this check. I actually half considered sacrificing my bishop to draw out his king, but this is my compromise move. I figure he's probably going to just block me with one of these two pieces, probably the bishop, because then if I try and trade queens, he doesn't lose the ability to castle. But instead, he makes this mistake. It doesn't look like a mistake to him probably because he is developing one of his only undeveloped pieces. But when I do the exchange of bishops, now I'm able to capture the pawn, equalizing on material and being really in his face with aggression. At this stage, again, I'm expecting him to just block this check with one of these two pieces. Now I can't do a queen exchange because his rook can just come back and claim an open file. But instead, he surprises me with this king move. It breaks the check, it attacks my rook, but it also robs him of the ability to castle on either side. I respond by bringing in my queen, both to defend the rook, but also to set up a discovered check on my next move, possibly winning a queen or at least some other material. And he responds with this counterattack, and I just play it safe by sliding my queen over, pinning his knight, but also defending my rook. And his response here tells me that he's going to try and break the pin by retreating his king to g8 and have one of those pseudo castles, which is pretty nice because then it also sets up a discovered attack on my queen later on if he moves his knight. My response though is I bring in my own knight to put additional pressure on this pinned piece. Now I'm fully expecting he's going to move his king to safety, but instead he scoots his bishop over here, adding another defender to this pinned piece, but also now he has two pieces attacking this one relatively weak knight. The idea being that if he captures with his queen and I capture back, he captures back, he essentially goes up a piece in material, plus this rook is then completely undefended. I make the mistake of bringing in my bishop. If I'm being honest, I think I was just worried about my back rank, but yeah, he probably should just capture this knight with his queen. I think that's the best move for him. Instead, he does this weird counterattack with his own knight on my queen. Probably thinks it's cute where he's, forking these two pieces. I guess he thinks that if I capture back with my knight, he still has the move available of, capturing my knight with his queen. But it overlooks this counterattack of my own, where because this knight, tenuous as it is still defending this rook, I throw this counter check and he can't block it, so he's forced to retreat over here, and now I can slide my queen to safety. More than anything, I'm just really threatening a checkmate on the g7 pawn with my queen and my rook, so he's going to be forced to address that. He brings his knight back, which is one of his only ways that he can defend this pawn, and I really double down on the attack by bringing my bishop in here to capture the free pawn. If he can't capture back because this pawn is pinned by my queen, and now I just have a ton of pressure on his g7 pawn. He brings his knight back in, simultaneously attacking both my rook, which is fairly vulnerable, and my bishop, and also having another defender on this weak pawn. So I do like that move for him. But my response is to throw this check, which is a little bit weird, but at a minimum, it's at least defending this very, very vulnerable knight that I had going on here, and also putting a little bit more defense on my rook in case an exchange does happen. He slides his king over this direction, and now I see this really elegant attack with my knight. Again, he can't block it because it's a knight attack. He can't capture this bishop with his king because my queen is covering it. So it really limits him only to this one square on h8. And when he goes back there, I'm able to throw this royal fork on his queen and king, and he's forced to recapture with the rook because otherwise he's just going to go down a queen. So he captures, I take back. His response, though, is to be greedy, and he captures my rook, and that's a mistake because now when I do this recapture, I'm essentially threatening checkmate on my very next move with queen to g8. So he has to address that checkmate threat and somehow defend this g8 square. And the only way he can do that is by moving his knight either to d6, so he has his queen and rook covering that square, or better, if he brings his knight over to f6, then he has his knight and his queen both covering that square. He ends up choosing the latter move, but it doesn't matter because the second he moves his knight, now I have checkmate by just capturing because I have my bishop covering that square too. So yeah, I thought that was an incredibly aggressive game. I just kept up the pressure the whole time. Felt a little bit sloppy, but it was also really fun. Let me know in the comment section what you thought. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.